On this project, I'm starting off with a 32-inch diameter metal base. It used to look like this with a glass top on it. Unfortunately, the glass top got broke, and to replace it, it cost me somewhere between another $80 and $120 for a bevel glass top. But being a DIYer, I decided, well, I'll come up with my own version, and my own version was to use the base as is and actually put a top on it, and decided to go with one of these Penny Epoxy tops. So that's what this project is about. We're going to take this existing base, which would normally cost more, and reinvent a new coffee table. First, I created a tabletop base using MDF. As my base, I started off with a 3/4 inch, 24 inch by 48 inch, and what I did was I cut off two 12 by 24 pieces and screwed and glued those using pocket screws to the end. This allowed me to create a 32-inch diameter base. Pocket screws, here, all the way across. Same thing on the far end, pocket screws. I actually removed the pocket screws here and here in the path of the radius, left them here, and here, and again remove these two pocket hole screws. Same thing was done on the opposite end. The part I'm showing right now really isn't that important. It's just to make sure that once I put the top on top of the base, it doesn't slide off, and so these are like brackets to keep. The pennies I used, it add up to roughly $15 worth of pennies. I didn't know, quite sure when I first started off how many I would need. I use Mod Podge glue, which is more in the arts and crafts area. I never used it before, but it's pretty nice. It has a good adhesion to it, and it dries clear. Of course, my polyurethane is, once I glued down my pennies, I put a coat of polyurethane on the top just to make sure they were secure. And then, of course, my clear epoxy 2-part resin, which kind of topped off everything. And so that was the main ingredients to making this project. The lesson learned here is that I would have probably done this different as far as this bendable trim. I would have more likely on a hot sunny day laid it out in the sun on concrete or blacktop and let it soften up, and it would have flexed even easier versus me taking it at ambient temperature, which was inside my shop. I'd say roughly about 65 degrees. So it had some bend to it, but if you laid out in the sun and it absorbed that heat, it would have been more flexible, and I wouldn't have to do all this clamping and stuff like that. So that's the lessons learned. I followed the suggestions that other videos did of cleaning pennies using vinegar and salt. If I did this over again, I think I would avoid that step and just use some dishwashing detergent to get the oil and grime off the pennies and not use this vinegar and salt. And the reason why is that even some of the pennies are a little newer than others. The tarnish from the old pennies somehow transferred to the new pennies, and the new pennies lost their luster. You're right. Watching me glue down pennies is like watching paint dry. So we're going to speed this thing up. I'm not going to tire you with this penny by penny by penny glue down, but I did use this Mod Podge, and it went down as a white, milky white, but it actually dried crystal clear. As an alternative to submerging the pennies and removing the tarnish, I also just tried, after gluing down my pennies, just to try to dry wash the top of the pennies, and you can see that there's a difference between the areas where I applied the vinegar and salt solution and the area towards the back where I had not gotten to that point yet. Now, to act as a sealer for the pennies, I'm applying a polyurethane. Finally, I'm at the point where I can apply my two-part epoxy top coat. After applying the epoxy top coat, I did wait 2 days for it to cure before I came back and covered it, as you see here.